Hello again, everybody. This is Effing Controller, and we are playing Uncharted Waters New Horizons, and we are in Alexandria. And we're going to go sail down the Nile, see if we can find anything that's worth any money. Alright, so we're just going to steer down this way. And at this point, I've played this game so goddamn many times, I've got pretty much every village location memorized, which is kind of sad, but so eventually at some point I'll have to check all the different spots to see if I can find all of them, because you actually need to do that in order to beat Ernst's storyline. And we just discovered the pyramids, by the way. Just completely glossed over that. Well, some of the pyramids, I guess. Sailing down the Nile is kind of tricky. And I think you're about to see partly why. If I remember correctly. Yeah, you remember? Actually didn't know this was going to happen. There are crocodiles in the river, and you can find discoveries that are like this that are monsters, and they will kill crew members. So you have to be careful. On the bright side, that's fewer mouths to feed. So you can sail for a little bit longer. Although with that said, you are going to be a little bit less speedy. And he's saying that, Hans is saying that we've paid our crew. He's actually just referring to himself. You only pay your navigators and your mates and everything. Your crew is presumed to be paid with, you know, good intentions or something. I don't know. So we're at the end of the, I think that's the Blue Nile there. The navigable end of the Blue Nile. Of course, these rivers go on for quite a ways. And there are rivers in this game that I would love to be able to sail up, but they just aren't made that way, unfortunately. So, here we go. Here's another place where you can get a discovery. Okay, and that is also something that can happen, where your crew just says, fuck it, we're done. We're through with you. And that's... I don't think that that's really based on morale or anything. We've discovered the baobab, which is an important tree in Africa. It provides a lot of different purposes, serves a lot of purposes. And so, I mean, our crew isn't that sad or anything. I mean, this display here is actually talking more about the ship itself. Crew morale isn't really labeled anywhere, I don't think. But it'll just happen randomly that you'll lose a bunch of crew at a village. And this is Lake Victoria, isn't it? Isn't that what it's called? I forget. Well, there's sometimes a discovery in there, but we seem to have missed it. So we're actually done exploring the Nile. And, oh, I didn't mean to do that. You can see we've actually unlocked a little bit of the map. So we'll actually go back to Mercator and brag to him about how awesome we are. But we first got to get out of the Nile. The Nile is one of the steps of the recovery process for addicts. Boy, that's just not even worth continuing on with. Let's just keep on going. And of course, since we've sailed through here, all the discoveries are taken. Village doesn't have multiple discoveries. Believe me, I've tried to find out if they do, and they certainly don't. Alright, we're almost there. And you can see we've been out for 20 days. We still have plenty of food left, because like I said, some of our crew was either eaten or ditched us, which is fine. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to actually get more crew, because if you're down to as many or as few crewmen as we have now, it gets a little bit tricky. So it's hard to sail as quickly as you want to. So we're going to go ahead and go to the cafe here. And here would be some people you could recruit. We're actually going to see if there's anybody to talk to. There's this fella. And he's a vagabond sailor, so that means we can recruit him, but we're not interested in him, because he's kind of a horrible piece of crap. So this guy is the cafe owner over here. You talk to him, and he's going to give us kind of tutorial information, which we're not going to read. So we're telling him to shove it. So you can treat crew to get more people to join you. We don't really need that many crewmen. So we got a total of 30. We can't even have that many on our ship. So we're going to recruit 11 of them, load them up on the Mercator, and call it good. Now, this is a waitress. Layla! Boo! Subject of an Eric Clapton song. You can give her gifts, and you can ask her for info and stuff. We'll tell her about the Rosetta Stone, and that if that impresses her, she's more receptive to our questions about different ports and things like that. But we're not interested in that at all at this point, so we're not even going to continue this conversation. And they can provide you with some useful information depending on what kind of character you're playing as. For an explorer, you really don't get that much worthwhile information from waitresses. Alright. So we're down to 3,000 gold. We need to start getting a little bit more cash. And the first and foremost way we're going to do that is by going back west. I like to have this screen up just because it shows me how fast I'm going and other bits of good info that are nice to have. You can see we're going a little bit slow. I really intend on getting a new ship as soon as possible, which is again why I didn't want you guys to give me names for a ship. If you do have suggestions, feel free to post them. I should have mentioned that in the first video. And if they're vulgar enough, I will use them. Oops. I don't know why I like to gossip with them. Okay, so that's actually a pirate fleet that just came out of Algiers. Let's take a look at it. There's Khair ad-Din. And he's one of the most renowned pirates in the game, mostly because he's a pain in the ass. He's got a really excellent fleet. Those Venetian galleasses are some of the best ships in the game, although certainly not the best, and we will get better ships potentially later on. And Hans is smart enough to tell us that those guys are actually pirates, because you could see that it showed up initially as an Italian fleet. Well, he's not Italian. Usually there will be some kind of... You'll be able to tell, because it'll be like, oh, this is a Portuguese merchant fleet, and his name is Fred Jones. Yeah, not really. Not very sneaky, Fred Jones. How long have we been at sea? 10 days. Okay. After a certain point, if you're at sea for too long, you can start having some problems with your ship. Namely, you can get rats, your men can get scurvy. There's all kinds of different things you have to be watchful of. We probably won't run into any of those issues unless things get a little weird. So we're actually stopping here in Bordeaux, and I'll show you guys why. It says allied with England. I don't think that that's historically accurate, but that's something I will touch upon later too, as alliances, port alliances, and things like that. So this thing has a little bird on it or something. This house has a bird on it. And so it has a guy by the name of Professor Maud in it. And he will buy our discoveries. So you can actually tell him, no, I'm not interested in hearing about your... Yeah. It tells you how the village system works, but we're already well aware of it. So I'm going to sign a contract with him. There are a few different people who will pay you for discoveries. There's this guy. There's somebody in Lisbon. I think there's somebody in Marseille, and I feel like there's another one somewhere else. This guy, along with the one in Lisbon, I think will pay you the best, if I recall correctly. So we can't give any discoveries to anybody else. If we give a discovery to, say, the Dutch Governor General, sometimes he will ask for fabulous discoveries, we won't be able to report it to the professor. So we won't be able to get money for it. So we're going to tell him about every single thing we've found so far. The Rosetta Stone. And some of them, like if he gives you that response, you know you're not going to get very much gold. And that's not a lot of money, but we'll take it. Tell him about the Khufu Pyramid. And that's a tidy sum right there. Just keep going through these. If you guys want to read the descriptions, feel free to pause, because I'm just going to kind of cruise through. And the lives of my 7 men were worth 7,500 gold pieces. Seems like actually a little bit more than they were worth. Here's the baobab. Alright, so we got a good amount of money on that. Now, he will let you know where possible villages are, and they are actually the locations of villages if you ask him for a rumor. It's just that in your particular game, there may not be a village there. So, bear that in mind. But now we have... Wrong button. We have 8,019 gold and then 2 ingots. You can see in the bottom left there. An ingot is worth 10,000 gold, so it's just the game's way of keeping your gold totals a little bit more concise. We're gonna sail back up to Amsterdam. Let's resupply. We have plenty of money at this point, so we can sail for a good long while, and what I intend to do is try and see if we can get a very, very, very rare discovery, which is kind of a gamey way of playing it, but if you find it, and we're at a good position really to find it anyways, I don't see the problem with it, I suppose, but it will give us a lot of money for starting the game, and we'll pretty much be set at that point. So let's go and see Mercator, get a little bit of cash. The money that you get from your map discoveries is pretty minimal, so might be a couple thousand I think that we get. Oh, not really, kind of hurts. Sometimes you'll get little story blurbs like that. It's just for color. Yeah, 4,160 gold pieces, that's not bad. That's really not very much discovering that we did there, so that's not a big deal. Now, when you report discoveries, when you map different parts of the globe, when you report your cartography discoveries to Mercator as well, you'll increase your fame. And let's take a look at that. Let's look at Ernst. And these different things I probably am not going to talk about too much, but we're mostly concerned with fame. There's different types of fame, as you can see. There's the one with the little presents. That's your fame in trade, then your piracy fame, and then your adventuring fame, which is what Ernst needs in order to win the game, I guess. Rank is something that you get from the government, from your king, and then your friendship totals are how hostile or how friendly a given nation's fleets are going to be towards you. Pirate fleets are generally always hostile towards you, although towards the beginning of the game it's merciful and you're not going to get totally killed by them. They will try and leave you alone, typically. Yeah, so we're going to get going to see if we can find this discovery I was talking about. See, this seems to me to be a little bit jumping the gun. We've sailed down the Nile, and that's about it. I don't see how we could be getting him popular yet. Ernst is very level-headed and very modest. So, in some ways, he's kind of the most boring person to play as. Oh, but here's a little bit of a development here. Women are bad luck on ships, I'm sorry. Hit the road. Why? Including my own made-up language. I call it pee-pee-doo-doo. Whatever. Paula. Paula is, gonna try and come aboard. Well, it piques Ernst's interest because she doesn't know where her home is, and he's a seeker. They're both seekers. They have something in common. Aha. If I... Never mind, I was gonna make some kind of stupid joke about Mercator and Potator. Should have changed her last name. That's just not even worth mentioning. Oh, snap. You are not the father. And then he breakdanced and then he died. Oh, man. So she's 14 years old, huh? I didn't actually think about that, because that makes the storyline a little bit iffy. I'll just leave that alone. I know where it is, but I'm not going to tell you guys. And you guys might actually be able to put it together just by looking at her, but I'm going to... Don't spoil it if you know. But... Ugh, for crying out loud. Barnacle back. I want to get that looked at. That's kind of gross. Works for me. Whatever. Just come on. Now, some characters that you find this way will become navigators and you'll be able to use them for commanding your ships. Paula is an exception. You can't do anything with her. She's worthless. Oh, and this is another interesting development. The Governor General of Holland is looking for you. We don't actually care at this point. We're going to ignore him. At some point, once you get some fame, the king of your nation will start asking about you so that you can help him with stuff, I guess. But we're not so much interested at this point. So we're heading along the coast of Britain. Familiar waters for us. And we're going over by Scotland here. Seems like the Orkney and all that is not here. Whatever. The game is kind of approximate, I guess you'd say, with its approach to geography. Let's actually see where we are. Yeah, that's where I thought we were. It's much better than its predecessor. Its predecessor, vanilla Uncharted Waters, there's no bearing whatsoever on reality as far as its map. It might as well just be a randomized map. So we found a small port here in Iceland called Hekla. And this is a supply port. And a supply port, as its name implies, is only good for picking up supplies. It has none of the other buildings that other ports have. It just has a little harbor, and we can supply here. It's usually a little bit more expensive than other ports, so that's something to bear in mind. Although, by now, food is not much of an expense for us. We don't really care. And as you can see here, we can rename the port. So if anybody has any port suggestions, I would be glad to use those as well. There are many supply ports that are ready and willing to be vandalized. I say we go for it. But for now, I'm going to leave Hekla as Hekla, unless you guys give me a suggestion. So we're going to supply up. And there's another port we're actually going to go to before we go to my intended destination. Now, this isn't something... I'm going to a place that you wouldn't know about necessarily if you hadn't played the game before. So that's, I think, what I was trying to get at when I was saying this is a little bit gamey. But there is also a possibility that it's not going to be here. And we're about to sail over the edge of the world! Nope. Like, it's just how the game is. There's a arbitrary line in the middle of the map where if you cross over it, it kind of has to load part of the map. So here's another port. And actually right now we're on the coast of Greenland, for those of you who weren't able to tell. We're at 4L. LL. And actually what I'm going to do here is also sort of gamey. I'm going in and out of the harbor. I am 13 years old in real life. Okay. So I was waiting for... Actually, I gotta go one more time, technically. I was waiting for a new date to start, because what we're going to be doing is very supply intensive. I'm going to be dumping off some of our cargo. We're going to take maybe this much. Okay. The reason I'm doing all of this is because when you entertain, you need to use food. So I guess that kind of tips you guys off to what I'm doing, possibly, but... So we have tons of food, and we have only a little bit of water here. And Hans is saying, well, shit. We're pretty low on water, dude. I don't know if you want to do this, but we do. So there's actually a village far along the coast here where we can get a fantastic discovery. It's really important to get. So we're going to stop here real quick. This is another feature of the game. You can pretty much anchor your ship anywhere, and if you do it here in a green spot, you'll be able to find water pretty often. Now this is Greenland. I don't think that there's that much water just sitting in springs, but whatever. So we're kind of making things stretch a little bit here. So now we're turning north, and let's actually just take a quick look at the map so you guys can kind of get oriented. We're on the west coast of Greenland. This is usually something that's better done if you have a better boat. Oh. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Ha ha ha. So we're sailing north, and it's getting colder and colder and more inhospitable, but actually it doesn't make any difference. The only issue that's going to arise is once we get to a certain point, we're not going to be able to get water. So here in a bit, we're going to have to pull up to land. And you can see that the land is becoming more and more frigid. Cool. Okay. Almost there, and if it's not here, I'm going to be very sad. Oh, awesome! So this is one of the hardest villages to find. I already knew where this was, but you'll eventually find all the really difficult villages. Difficult? Did I say that right? Whatever. All the difficult villages, because as Ernst, you have to explore the entire world, so you'll basically run into all the land, and thus you'll run into all the villages. Okay, so we're going to land here, and now if you just search, we didn't find anything. So that's unlike everything on the Nile. This particular village, you have to entertain the shit out of them. We're going to be putting pasties on our nipples. We're going to be, you know, serving up Mai Tais, doing karaoke with these folks. Disco is going to happen. We have to really just go balls out. Serve them a lot of dried beef and hardtack. I just thought I would check. I think we have to get it up to like 65 or something ridiculous. We'll get it up to 50. I know it's at least 50. And the level that we're getting it to, it varies from captain to captain, and captains with higher charisma, I believe, don't need to entertain as much. Ernst has fairly high charisma, though, so usually you can get discoveries with him pretty easily. We're going to go up to 55 and see if they're going to help us. How about 60? I feel like I'm playing The Price is Right or something. Higher! Higher! Okay. 65. I think this might be it. Shit! We're being attacked again, but it's by, yes, a fucking saber-toothed tiger. So some of the discoveries in the game aren't so much real things. Some of them are kind of mythological or just, you know, not possible, which is fine. I don't care personally, but it does make it you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, I suppose. But now we have a really, really valuable discovery, and the value of a discovery is correlative to its the amount of entertaining you have to do to get it. So we're going to cruise along down this way. And after about 25 days of sailing, we might start running into problems with our with rats and things like that, but I think we're going to be okay. So we're actually moving fairly fast, 16 knots, which if you have been following my Silent Hunter 3 LP, you'll know is actually very fast and possibly not really possible. Stupid sentence. That's asking a bit much of a ship of this kind, but whatever. You do tend to move quite a lot faster than a real sailing vessel, but whatever. So yeah, we're back in Forel. That's great. And I want to get back to Bordeaux just to show you guys how frickin' valuable that discovery is. Resupply real quick. And if you automatically supply, the game will give you equal amounts of water and food, which is nice. We can sail for 38 days because, as you guys saw, I managed to get some of my crew killed. Fantastic. We're going to take a shortcut, cutting across the Atlantic. I may start using the frame skipping fast forward feature of our emulator here. I am trying to avoid using it though, and I know that sounds stupid because we're basically just sailing over empty ocean, but the reason I want to do that is because I feel like part of my enjoyment, I feel like I enjoy games less if I feel like I have to kind of play through them like they're a freaking job. So I'm just gonna kick back and relax and just play it as it would be on the Super Nintendo. Okay, so there's Ireland. Let's actually jog up here to discover a port real quick. Dublin! We're not gonna go there though. Just like the fjords. Here we are. One of the BF grids. Oh man, I'm such a dork. Let's discover another port real quick. Nantes! I want to know what a Nanty would be. Right, so we're in Bordeaux. We're going to sell off our discovery of the saber-toothed tiger. And we're going to get a ton of money. Now again, this isn't necessarily in the game every time you play, so if you go up there and it's not there, just shake your head in shame and try something else. So yeah, you can see he's just, his nipples exploded with delight. He's so happy for us. 100,000 gold pieces for that little discovery. That's awesome. And let's see how much money we have. 12 ingots and then 9,824. And you can see our adventurer fame has jumped significantly. That will top out at 50,000, I believe, but we're well on our way at this point. So for now, there's a couple of priorities. We need to get another ship. So if you guys have any suggestions for a ship name, I'm all ears. I really don't care as long as it's something funny. That's pretty much my only criteria. And then from there, hey, you know, I guess I could leave this in your guys' hands. If you have a direction you want me to go, north, south, east, west, up, down, slap it, smack it, rub it down. Is that how that goes? I don't think it is. But if you guys want me to go a specific direction or see a specific place, let me know. I want to have some fun with this. So this is Effing Controller signing off for now, and we'll pick this up once I have a better idea of where you guys want me to go, I guess. This is a democracy for once, so I'll catch you guys later.